Hey, chickadees. So today we're going to look at what happens when we put boundaries in place. And this is all leading up to a conversation later this week about how boundaries help us listen in order to better understand. So come on in and join us. All right, welcome into today's episode. We are continuing our theme of boundaries so that we can listen intently to understand. Here's the thing. Today, we're going to look at boundaries and what happens and what the opportunities are when we put those boundaries in place. So, we are going to do this using Alberto Villoldo and Colette Baron-Reid's Shaman's Dream Oracle deck. So we'll see what Spirit has for us today. We've got one out already. Let's see if there's a couple more. Oh, there's one. Let's see if there's a third. Yep, there we go. There's the third card. All right. So let's see what we've got. Okay, and as usual, I'm going to go put up, I say as usual, my new thing is to put up all three and then to talk about them. So here are the three cards. We are looking at card 32 today. This is the Jeweled Web, all about connectivity. Then the second card is card 57. This is the Unmarked Trail. It's the card about revelation. And then card 64, Wood Wives. This is adaptability. So let's start with card 32. This is the Jeweled Web. This is about connectivity. And this card is reminding us that everything in the universe is connected. And oftentimes we don't see the connections and we don't understand the connections between what is happening in our day-to-day lives and what is going on at a cosmic level. What this can mean for when we are talking about boundaries and putting boundaries in place. And if you're like me and you're a professional ruminator and you've put a boundary in place and then you're second guessing or you're having doubts or you've got a lot of guilt about why that boundary is even necessary, like were things really that bad? Probably if you put the boundary in place and you had your reasons, yes, they probably were. So it's at least worth respecting yourself enough to continue to hold the boundary. And here's the thing. That boundary is evidence of connectivity in a web. And what can happen is we don't even see the ways in which that connectivity is occurring under the surface, which leads us to our second and third card. So our second card is card 57. This is the Unmarked Trail. And the Unmarked Trail leads us to revelations that we didn't even know were possible. Have you ever been surprised? Usually we're surprised when we think, I didn't think that was possible. Or, wow, that didn't seem very likely to happen, or wow, that is completely unexpected, right? And that's because we're on an unmarked trail. We're on a trail where maybe we don't know what the answer is, or we don't know the next step. We've just taken the step that we've been presented. So we don't know, specifically talking about boundaries, we don't know what the outcome of putting that boundary in place is going to be. So I'll tell you a funny story. This one's probably at least 30 years old, probably more. I was working at an architecture firm, who shall remain nameless. All the individuals will not be named. And I was working there, and there was one individual who, let's just say he kind of prided himself on being a curmudgeon. And he would come over to my desk. This is back when we actually drafted by hand. So I earned the white hair. And so we were drafting details by hand, and we were using computers as well, but we were doing a combination of computer drawing and hand drawing. And I was drafting something, and he would come over to my desk on a very regular occasion, and he would critique my drawings and my details. and he would ask me to give him a writing utensil, the one that I was using. And I finally just I did not understand why this person had such a chip on their shoulder and why they seemed to approach life through a lens that was dark, like it had a very dark tint on it. But they did. And for some reason, they were, I'm going to say, taking it out on, although they weren't. They were expressing it to me. They were living their life. And I turned to him one day, and because he said, give me your pencil. And I just looked at him and I said, you know what? If you want to mark up my drawings, you can go get your own damn pencil. And he did. He turned around and he went and he got his own pencil. And you know what? He and I actually became friends after that. There's some people in this world that kind of need you to push on them a little bit. And I don't understand it. I wish it wasn't that way, but it is. And so sometimes there's people who just need you to push back a little bit and stand your ground before they'll respect you. And that happened to be the case here, but I was definitely an unmarked trail because that was not how I rolled. That's not my MO. It's not how I roll, but that's how it worked there. And boy, was I surprised. That outcome completely shocked me, but there we were nonetheless. So boundary put in place, boundary honored by the other person, and it went way beyond honoring it. It went to friendship. So, yeah, go figure. I do not know how that happened to this day. I don't know how that happened. I just know that it did happen. So, all right. And I'm not a psychologist, so there's that too. So the third card is card 64. This is the Woodwives card, and this is about adaptability. This is reminding us that we get the opportunity to adapt to a changing landscape. And when we put a boundary in place, the landscape changes. So we're adapting to that. And this kind of relates a little bit to what we were talking about yesterday when we talked about body and soul and how we move into extreme self-care when we put a boundary in place, especially when it's one we don't want in place, right? It's a relationship that we want in our life, but we are afraid that we're going to damage it by putting a boundary in place. And it will change, like your relationship will change when you do that. And that's where adaptability comes in. So we get to adapt to that new landscape. In some cases, that new landscape may mean new freedom for you, right? It may mean that you get to navigate additional opportunities to put more boundaries in place or strengthen the one you've put in place to protect yourself. But in any case, you're going to be asked to be adaptable. So today, Jeweled Web, Unmarked Trail, and Woodwives. So know that you're connected. You may not know the outcome of putting that boundary in place. If you're doing it with the right intent for the highest and best good of all, then that outcome will likely be positive in the long run. It may not be in the short run, but it may be in the long run. And then Unmarked Trail, that understanding that you're going to be surprised by outcomes, that some of those surprises will delight you, and some of them may concern you a little bit. And then the adaptability piece, you will be asked to be adaptable after you put a boundary in place. You just don't know what form it's going to take. So be ready for that. And that's it for today. So put in the comments if you've had, reach out to us if you've had experience with boundaries and what that experience has been and what the outcome has been, like short-term and long-term, and whether it's been, whether you've had connectivity, there was connectivity that went on behind the scenes that you didn't know about that became understood by you later on. It was revealed to you. Then also that unmarked trail experience and how you had to adapt to boundaries. Definitely let us know. Really interested to hear it. So, all right. Hit subscribe or follow us. We are trying to grow our following so we can reach more people with this content that find it helpful. So, all right, chickadees, love you. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time. Mwah.